Good day, everyone. I welcome you back to our series of lecture on STATA. And this series is titled Introduction to STATA. Introduction to STATA. Um, the later we are going to be looking at STATA itself, that is analysis using STATA. In our previous uh, lecture, we have looked at the following content. In video one, we talk about looking at starter environment. That is, when you open your starter package, what you are likely to see and how to interact with the starter using GUI or command, and what we can use starter to do. As I've said, as I'm sharing it, could be for data management, statistical analysis, data visualization, or even data manipulation. So in the video that followed, which is lecture two, then we look at how to create a log file and the importance of a log file. And we look at the type of log file that we have. We look at the type of log that was in our lecture two video on introduction to Stata. In lecture three, we look at ways by which we can get data into Stata environment or data editor. Because before we can even do any analysis, at least we must have information or data to work with. So that is why it's very key or it's very important. We look at ways by which we can get this information or data into Stata environments. So in that video, which is not concluded, was that we look at the three ways out of the five ways. The first one being importing the data from the internet. And we said that the data must be uh, as or must have starter extension, and you must know the name of the file. You must know the file name. Likewise, you must also be connected to the internet. So when you have those, you can import data from the net and start working with it after the importing into your data or starter environment. The second approach that is like it, uh, as, uh, as explained in the video, was that there are some data that were shipped when you install the package. They were automatically installed with the package itself, with STATA. And we demonstrated how to, if first of all, know those data first with the command using system use dir, system use space dir. With that, it's going to display all the data that you installed or that were installed with the package. And we also look at the third approach, which where we stop, was that you can have the data yourself. Maybe you are the one that conducted that research, or you collected the data from the secondary source. You have the data with you in hard copy. So you are the one that will enter those information yourself. So with that one, we said that we have two ways of going about that. The first way is that you open your data editor, data spreadsheet, and you continue to continue to enter the data one after the other, variable by variable, until you are done with the uh, entry, until you are done with the entry. And still under that approach or that under the third method is if you don't want to go about that, you go through the command window, you specify by using input, then specify the variable names that you have their information or the data you want to enter, and you continue to the starter will prompting you as you are entering the data row by row until you are done. So in this lecture, we'll continue from there where we stop, and we look at the other two approaches, the other two methods. I said that we are going to take us through 5 ways. We've treated the first three, so the remaining two will be discussed in this lecture. And the fourth one is by way of simulation. By way of simulation, we know a population that we want to study. So all what we need to know is that let's know the parameters that characterize that particular population. So if you know that, we can mimic, we can copy, we can generate or simulate a sample from that known population. So that is what simulation is all about. So if our population is normally distributed, so we know that normal distribution is being characterized by two parameters, the mean as well as the variance. So if those population parameters are known, then we are done. Then we can mimic from that particular known population the number of observations that we may want. So if it is not normal, if it is exponential, the same thing, if it is beta, no matter the kind of population, that the important thing is to know the characteristics of such population, and we are good to go and a sample from that population. That is what the simulation is all about. So we have STATA already opened, as we have said. So we look at the data editor. If there's no data there, if there's data there, we drop the data from the data editor. Since we have data here, so I'm dropping them. So I've dropped the data that were there before. So it is now blank. Just as you can see, we have blank data editor. And if you look at the variable panel here, you see that it is also empty. So meaning that there's no data in the data editor or on the starter uh, package. So we are going to be using normal distribution for this illustration. And we know that normal distribution has two parameters, the mean as well as the variance. Let's assume that that population parameter, which is mean, let's assume is equal to maybe 20, and the variance or the standard deviation, let's say is equal to maybe 2.0, or let me just say 2. So I'm just typing this to so that I'll be able to keep it at hand that we are simulating from the mean of 20 as well as the standard deviation of 2. So this is not a command, and that is why I preceded that line, that sentence with an asterisk. And that's the importance of asterisk in Stata. Any line that is preceded by an asterisk, Stata will not going to take it as command. It won't take it as command, but it take it as comment. And that is why it has not done anything. It doesn't execute anything. So it's just taken as a comment. So that is the essence of asterisk. So the command to sample or to simulate is draw norm. So the draw means I'm drawing, where norm stands for normal. So I want to draw from normal distribution. I will now specify the name I want to assign to that particular variable. Assuming it is age individual in that population, so I will call it age. Then I will now put comma. Then I will specify the sample size, the sample that I want to simulate, the number of observations. So that will be n. Then the actual number will be in bracket. Let's assume it's 100. Then I will specify the standard deviation. So I will use, sorry, mean first. The mean, which I have given up there to be 20. Then I will provide the standard deviation, which I've said that it is 2. Then I will press enter. So with this, the starter has simulated 100 observations from a normal distribution with mean of 20 and a standard deviation of 2. So if you look at the variable field window here, you see that age is there. You know that that is the variable name, the only variable that we have. If you want to see the actual observations, when I click data editor, you see that it has displayed the observations It's going to be 100 of them like that. 100. So as you can see. So if I want to look at the summary statistics, I'll just say sum, the age. It's going to give me the summary statistics. The number of observations you can see is 100. The mean is 20.00126. The standard deviation is 2.123. The minimum value as well as the maximum value. So if there are many like that, so that is the process I'm going to use, the same process. Let's simulate more and see. So I don't need to type at first. I can just use the window review window here to bring the command that is similar to it. Now, let's simulate additional two variables. Let's call it the height of, let's type the parameters so that it will be easier for us. So I will say height with a mean of maybe 1.8 and standard deviation equals, let's say 0.5. Then weight, because I want to simulate two variables more with mean equals, let's say their weight is around, let's use 75 kg and the standard deviation equals, let's say 5.5. So these are the parameters of the two variables that I want to simulate in addition to the age. So I'm using the last command here, bring it up to the command window. Now I'll specify the variable names first. So, and that is height and weight. So instead of doing it one after the other, I can simulate them together. If they are 10, I'll just do them and provide the necessary parameters. So the number of observations has to be the same, 100. Otherwise, the starter will not take it. So the mean height is what I provide first. That is 1.8. I'll give space and provide the mean of weight, and that is 75. So I close the bracket. The standard deviation, I will provide the standard deviation of the height first. That is 0.5. Give space, then provide the standard deviation of weight, and that is 5.5. Then press enter. So it has simulated, in addition to age, additional two variables, which are height and weight. As you can see it here, in the variable panel view, you see age, which is the first one we simulated. In addition, we now have height and weight. So if you want to view it in Data Editor, click Data Editor. So you have those two additional variables that are making three variables altogether, and they are 100 observations each for each of the three variables. Now, if I want to see the summary statistics, I will say sum of age, height, and weight. So it will give me the summary statistics. But to save my time, instead of type, imagine if I have more than three variables, even if they are 20, does that mean I'm going to list everything? No. I can use this command, sum, the underscore all. Underscore all means that you are combining all the variables together. You are providing or you are supplying the starter to execute whatever task you want to do for all the variables. That is what underscore always do. So you can see you're having the same thing. Have the mean for age, height, and weight. You have the standard deviation of age, height, and weight, as you have seen. So this is the fourth method or approach by which we can get data into our starter environment, So I'm going to drop the variables, remove them so that we go to the last method or last approach by which we can have data in our starter editor or environment. So I'm dropping the variables now. So I've dropped them. So you can see in the variable window panel, there is no longer any variable there. So in our review command window, it's going to be always be populated, as we have seen. If you look at it so far, I've passed 87 instructions to the starter. That's what it means. From the beginning up to now, I've passed about 87 instructions. So that is what, and each of the instructions will be displayed just as you have seen. Now, we go to the last approach, as I've said, and the last approach in my previous lecture, I told us that it's going to be importing data from related spreadsheets, from other spreadsheet package. So like Excel, like SPSS, like Stata, sorry, forgive me, not Stata again, Minitab, and so on. So we can import the data from there and get it to the Stata environment. So I'm not going to go through the command approach. If you have to use command approach, I'm not going to use that. So we can go through graphical user interface as well. So we look at I will take us through this approach. So, but if you want to use an GUI, you can see you come to import. Since we want to import from Excel spreadsheet, we click Excel spreadsheet and we go to the file that we want to import from and so on and so forth, and it will do. But let's me take it through this for those that are just for a starter with this package. There's an approach that we can easily use to get that. So the approach is that you first open that spreadsheet you want to import from. You open it. So you go there, you copy the data, everything in block. Then you come and dump it, or what you call paste it in your STATA Data Editor. I'm going to demonstrate it now for us to see. So let me quickly share the window of any spreadsheet, of any spreadsheet. So I have a STATA, an Excel spreadsheet window that I'm trying to open. Okay, good. So here is an Excel spreadsheet. Here is Excel spreadsheet. So what I need to do is to block all the data, no matter the size. I'll block it, then Control C. That is, I will copy. So after copying, I will go back to my starter, or I will come to my starter. So here's my starter again. So in starter, I'll come to my data editor. I've shown how to get there for us. So I will click on the first box, first cell in that. Then I'll come to edit. I will say paste. With this, the starter will automatically paste those what I copied from that spreadsheet. But the issue is that by default, the starter will be naming the variables as VR1, VR2, VR3, VR, and so on. Go up to, even if they are 20, VR20. But VR1 is not the name of the first variable. If you can go back to our Excel, you see that the first variable has name of name. The second variable has a test. The third variable has an exam. The fourth variable has name of a total, while the last one has a year. So it's now my task in the owners of me to now name these variables appropriately, to give them the appropriate name. And if you can recollect, in our previous this thing, lecture, I told us that the command to name a variable is rename, REN. Then the initial name or the former name that I want to change. So it is VR1. Then the new name or the actual name we want to give to it, that is name. So we press enter. So we do it for the second variable, rename PR2. So the name is test. Press enter. Then the third one, PR3. The name is exam. By the fourth one, the name variable 4. So the fourth one is called total. Finally, we name the fifth one, the fifth variable, which is variable 5 as a year. So with that, we have done with bringing or importing a data from similar spreadsheets like Excel, like SPSS, Minitab, and what have you. So what you need to do, just open that spreadsheet, copy it, and come and paste it in a STATA Data Editor. And with that, you are good to go with the analysis after entering or after pasting or after renaming the variables appropriately. So with this, we have come to the end of what we call getting data into STATA Editor or environments. And I've taken us through 5 approaches by which we can get data into STATA environment by importing from the internet. 2, by making use of data that came with the package when we install it. 3, by entering the data ourselves. We have the data with us. We are the one that generated it. So we just keep on entering them one after the other till we finish that. Then the fourth one is by simulation. By simulation, while the last one is we get the data or import it from similar spreadsheets like Excel, like SPSS, Minitab, and what have you. So in the subsequent video, we'll be looking at what we will refer to as data management. Data management. Data management is very key to statistical data analysis because before you can begin data analysis, there are a lot of works that need to be done onto our data before we can begin data analysis. So be it labeling, be it the categorization of variables, be it removing the outliers and what have you, so that we are going to clean our data. So data management is more or less like cleaning data before we begin the actual data analysis. So as I've said, we are going to stop here so that in our subsequent video or lectures, we'll be looking at data management. And thereafter, we will now start data analysis itself using STATA. As I've said, these lectures, or all these lectures in the series of them will be on a statistical package, which is called STATA. So thank you for listening and God bless you.